Morning, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Love 500 and welcome back to the start today of a new series. Today we're going to start on the basics of a Fiat 500. I often get asked how to do very basic things by people who don't have any idea whatsoever on how to do. So we're going to start off today with the first one. Today we're going to show you how to check your oil and to check your coolant levels. Let's go. There you go, you can see that little red handle down there, that's your dipstick. So to check your oil, sometimes it might be better if the engine has been running and it's warmed the oil up a bit, because if the oil's warmed up it's a little bit thinner, so it moves around a little bit more. This car has just been started up on the top of the drive and brought just down here, so it's not gone up to running temperature whatsoever, but this is how we're going to do it. So get yourself a bit of tissue, pull the dipstick out, give it a wipe, put it back in, make sure it goes all the way down to the bottom as far as it will go, leave it a couple of seconds and then pull it out, and then you'll be able to read the level of the oil. Let's get it in front of the camera so we can show you. So as you can see on here, get it in focus, the oil level is up to that point there. So you've got a minimum down there and a maximum up here, and you want to be somewhere between the two, preferably full, as you can see it glistening there. So this is like new oil. This car was only serviced a short time ago, so the oil is still pretty new. You see it glistening? So it comes up to about there. Now if your oil is either not registering on the dipstick or it's very low, you need to get oil in it as soon as possible. Now this is the 1.2 engine, the Fiat 500 1.2. This engine uses 5W40 oil. So get yourself 5W40. Don't use any old oil you've got hanging around. It's 5W40. Some people may tell you other oils, but 5W40 is the best one to use that the vast majority of people use. So we'll just go through that once again. So we've given it a wipe, take it out again, have a look at the end of it, and you'll see how much oil you've got there. See, it's nice and brown, it's not black. If your oil's black, then it probably needs an oil change. And we'll put that back in. That's all there is to it. If you need to top your oil up, we'll show you the oil filler cap, which is there, the black one. All you do, twist it anti-clockwise, take it off, put a funnel in there preferably. Some cans of oil come with built-in funnels. If it doesn't, then just get yourself a funnel, put a funnel in there and pour the oil in. Depending on the level of your oil, depends on how much you're going to put in, but don't overfill it. So if you're not sure, put say half a litre in, something like that, let it settle, do the same oil dipstick check again, wipe the dipstick off, put it back in. Having too much oil in your car, I mean I'm talking about some people have been known to fill it right up to the brim of here. Having too much oil in your car is almost as bad, if not worse, than having no oil in your car at all. There are some that say that if you have slightly lower oil than normal, that's better for the emissions on the car, especially if you're taking your car for an MOT, because less oil will heat up quicker, which means there's less friction. A warm oil performs better than a cold oil. So a cold oil is thicker. When it warms up it gets thinner, so it goes around the system better and causes less friction, which again in turn gives you lower emissions. So less oil is better than more oil. Too much oil is as bad as no oil. And then that just twists back on, twist it until it just keeps clicking like that, and that's on properly. So that's how you check and top up your oil. Don't forget again, 5W40 is the oil you need. So checking the coolant level. Again, coolant, if your car is getting too hot, if you're sitting at traffic lights and your temperature gauge on your car is going up too high, then you may have low oil, or more likely low coolant, one or the other, if not both. You should really check. Some people say you should check your oil and water every week. As long as you check it about, unless you're having problems, once a month is probably fine, I would say. But to check the coolant, all you've got to do, if the engine is hot, if the engine has been running, let it cool down. This is where you put the coolant. This is the coolant top up of your radiator. On the 1.4 engines, you've got over there, you've got a expansion tank bottle, different radiator completely. But on the 1.2, the tank is part of the actual radiator itself. So to do this, you have to take off that cap. Now that cap will be under pressure. If the engine is warm, I say if the engine is hot, let it cool right down. If the engine is slightly warm, if it's been running for 5 or 10 minutes, something like that, probably preferable to let it cool down, but especially if it's low, the pressure would have built up even more. So ideally it should be cold. Now, if you're not sure, put some gloves on, get a towel or an old rag that's going to cover your hand up, and you need to undo this. So if you put some downward pressure on it and then take it carefully anti-clockwise, this engine is obviously quite cold, so it's not going to have any issues at all. There may still be a little bit of pressure built up from before. Gradually take it off, unscrew it anti-clockwise, and then you may or you may not start hear it go tss, or it may do that right at the end. But just be very careful, because obviously it's hot water or hot coolant which will burn you. So there's no pressure in there at all. Eventually it will come off. That's how it may hiss. And then we'll show you, we'll get inside and we'll show you how you can check the coolant. So to check this, these tanks, this is a new non-genuine part. I had to put a new radiator on this car. The genuine ones are really quite sort of dark, translucent yellow, whereas these ones are more transparent. But I'll show you on this one, but you may struggle to see the coolant level. So if I point the camera down there, let me unzoom first. If I point the camera down there, you can see, you should be able to see, maybe, the level is just there. If I shine my torch down there, it shows it in better. There you go, look. So you can see, if I point the camera at the right place, you can see there the red. There you go. If I do it like that, so you can see that's about 3/4 of the way between minimum and maximum. So you've got a minimum mark, which is the arrow just there, and then you've got a maximum mark, which is the arrow at the top, and that's about halfway. So that's not a bad place to be. No, about 2/3 maybe. If you can't see through that, it is more difficult to see it without a torch. What you can do, if you get a torch, once you've got the cap off, and point the torch down the hole like that, you can sometimes see down there like that. But the best way is to get a torch side on, either look down there, you can see it, or as I've just shown you, like that. Okay, so that's how to check the level. So if that level is either below that mark or you can't even see it, then you know your coolant's low. And don't forget, you're going to probably have more pressure in this cap, especially if the engine's warm, if you've got low or no coolant. So again, unless you want to spill coolant all over your engine bay and on the floor, use a funnel. Use a funnel, use the container that you use, turn it sideways. I'll show you in a second what I mean. And then top it up. So I'll go and get some coolant now, and then I'll show you what I mean. So there you go, there's a funnel. This is the coolant that I use. Triple QX red antifreeze and summer coolant. So antifreeze, obviously, clues in the name, stops the water from freezing, and summer coolant, obviously, it keeps it cool. Now, this is ready mixed. If you buy something, if you say you go to Halfords and you buy it and it's like 25, 30 plus quid, that'll be concentrated. These are about 12 quid, something like that. I don't even think it's that. Offers 5-year protection, so it don't last forever. But because this has already been diluted, you pour this in as it is. Now, what I said about sideways, this is a good old trick. There was someone on Dragon's Den years ago who developed a you know when you pour something from a container, whether it be a milk bottle or whatever it is, it slows down the flow, because as you're pouring out, especially when the container is full, when you're pouring out, the air is getting in, so it goes glug, 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 and it spills everywhere. And as they said on Dragon's Den, to stop it doing that, he invented this thing that you put on the top that stopped you doing that. And the look on his face when one of the panel on Dragon's Den told him to stop that happening, all you need to do, instead of pouring that way, you turn it sideways and pour that way. And it does work. The look on his face was a picture. So to top up, all you got to do, turn it sideways. I'm not going to put much in because we're virtually full. Slowly fill. That's all you got to do. Watch the level. If your car is completely empty or very empty, then that may mean the actual coolant in the block is lacking, as well as coolant in the radiator. So what you can do now to purge any air out of it, once you've topped it up and it's up to the maximum mark or near the maximum mark, if you start the engine, you can start the engine with the cap off. Don't do that with the oil. Don't start the engine with the oil cap off, because you will have oil splattering out. Same with the dipstick. Make sure the dipstick's in properly. But for here, you can start the engine and then leave the cap off, and as soon as you start the engine, the water pump will start working, and the water will start going around the system. So you will see that the level drops in that container. We won't do it now on this car because it's obviously full up and I've already purged the air out of this one. So start the engine, just leave it running, let it get up to normal running temperature. If the level's not going down, you've got air in the system. And what you can do, I'll take you off the tripod and show you. So if you get a torch down there and have a look, you'll see when it's running, and as the air's going round, you'll get little air bubbles. Once those air bubbles have stopped, then it should be purged. But down here, just here, you have a bleed screw. It's got a little flathead screwdriver indentation in it, and it's also got a thumb screw. You can undo it with your fingers if it's not too tight, otherwise you'll just get a screwdriver on that thread down there. Let me just zoom in on it. There you go. Now that's a bleed screw. So while the engine's running, you could do this at the beginning, or you could leave it till a little bit later. Again, you don't want to burn yourself, but I'm gonna take it out actually and show you. So if you unscrew it, this is thumb tight, so I can undo it. You do need to make sure this is up tight when it's finished, because otherwise it can leak. So this is just part of the pipe. So you see it's got a hole there. If you look in the hole, you'll be able to see coolant, if you can see it or not. But all that does, that lets air out. So while your engine's running, if you think you've still got air in it, you can fill the pipes, make sure the pipes are getting hot, that the water is going around. Also put your heater on. If you put your heater on and put the fan on, and then if your engine's at running temperature, you should be getting hot air coming out of the heater vent, obviously if your heater's turned up to hot. You can also encourage the water round by giving it a bit of revs, which I'm not going to do now, but that's another way of getting the water to go round. Don't go mad, just give it a few revs and you'll probably hear the water glugging, which is where it's purging the air out. It's pushing the air around the system, which will eventually will come back out here. But when you've got the engine running, you've topped it up just here, you remove that thumb screw, and if while the engine's running no coolant comes out, get your funnel back in, carry on topping up very, very slowly, watch your level, and keep topping up until you see water and bubbles start coming out of there. I say water, coolant. Once the coolant starts coming out of there, then you'll see a few bubbles, but that should mean that the water's gone around the system properly and you've got no air in it anymore. This really only applies if your system is really empty. If all you're doing is checking it and topping it up, if need be, then you shouldn't need to do this. You shouldn't have air in the system if it's just a little bit low. But if it's well below that minimum point, or you can't even see it, one, you're probably going to overheat anyway, or at least your temperature, and you'll notice your fan is kicking in more often to try and cool it down. Then you really need to purge the air out of it. So I've screwed that back on. I've just done it up with my fingers. That's tight enough. And then to get this back on, once you're finished, just twist it, keep twisting until it stops. There you go, and that's on. So that's it. So I don't think there's really anything else to tell you. If you're topping it up from scratch, i.e. filling it, once you've driven around for a little bit, a few miles, come back, check the level again. If it's low, carefully take the top off, very carefully, or let it cool down, then take the top off carefully, and then top it up to that, somewhere between that minimum and maximum, or up to the maximum mark, but again, don't overfill it. And I think that's it. So any questions you've got, put those questions in the comments, and I'll try and answer them. So as we said, 5W40 oil, don't overfill it. Check your oil level, just there. And pink stroke red antifreeze stroke summer coolant. The last thing I will say about coolant is do not fill your radiator with water out the tap, or any type of water. Radiators are made from metal rusts. The radiator, and you've also got the main water pipe on these cars, which is behind there, behind that heat shield that one of the pipes connects to. That's made of steel, and they do rot, and you will get holes in them at some point within the car's life, and they need replacing. So obviously water causes rust. So if you put neat water, it's all right topping up a little bit now and again, especially in the summer, but of course in the winter, when you've got minus sub-zero temperatures, water will freeze, will damage your engine, or possibly damage your engine, your coolant system, your entire car. It could be toast, very cold toast. The antifreeze, clues in the name, it stops your radiator from freezing. In the summer it's not quite so bad, however it will cause rust, and over a very short period of time it will cause your radiator to burst. So do not only ever use water as an emergency. If you overheat for some reason and all you can do is put water in it, then put the water in and then drain it down at your earliest opportunity and put coolant in. Obviously if it has overheated, there's normally a reason why it's done that, so you need to get to the bottom of that first. So yeah, I think that's it. Don't use water. Top tip of the week. Alright, so that's the end of this basic series. If you're watching this and you disagree with anything that I've said, please let me know. I don't see why you would, but this is real basic stuff, and you should, as I say, I think you should do these checks at least once a month, really, to stop, especially, yeah, I suppose especially in the summer, because obviously your engine gets hotter in the summer with the hot temperatures. But that's the end of this video. I hope you found it useful. If you have, please subscribe and have a look at the how-to series. There's lots of videos on there on how to do various things on a Fiat 500, and we'll expand on these basic series as well over time. Anything else you need, let me know. So if there's any other basics that you'd like me to cover on this series, let me know. Drop me a message. You can drop me a message via Instagram, Love 500 Salvage on Instagram, or you can put a comment on this video, and next time I do something that's basic, so if it's something I can do anyway, I'll film it and we'll stick another video up. So let me know what you need to see. So thanks for watching again. Hope you found this enjoyable. As I said, please like, share and subscribe to the video, and we'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Take care, stay safe, see you soon.